Gary, it's an interesting time for you because sometimes you get to a situation where you and I have had a chat about this. Ruffy and Tam also, you've had good success as a manager, and then you get that situation where you suddenly lose your job, and people have a perception in their head. How difficult is it now for you looking and saying to yourself, okay, I want to get back in, and where do I want to get back in, and how do I get back in?
Good question. In football, you're waiting for somebody to lose their job a lot of the time, unless somebody's really successful, moves, and a vacancy comes up. But there's a big bad world out there, Peter. That's the thing, and people seem to think you're pigeonholed into where you want to work all the time. We've got the facility to go all over the world as sports coaches, managers, whatever, sporting directors. So if the opportunity comes for me to broaden my horizon, I would certainly entertain it.
What would you prefer? Do you think you're good as a manager or good as the coach, or would you like to do a bit of both? Where's your strengths?
Probably management,
Yeah.
I would say, is my biggest thing. I'm fortunate enough, I've done all facets, worked in the youth academy at Norwich initially, was instrumental in bringing Category 1 status under this new EPPP guidelines that they brought in a few years ago. Then went manager, back to assistant manager, back to management. So you get a foot in all camps, really. The assistant manager's good, because you become a wee bit more pally with the players and a wee bit more friendly, and you have a bit more rapport with them. But I did find it difficult a wee bit because sometimes players would play that I wouldn't have picked.
Yeah.
And then they're instrumental then in my job, me keep my job if they perform or not perform. Whereas a manager, it's down to you to make the choices, you to make the decisions, you to stand at the camera at the end of the game and face yourself and say, I made an asset.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was my fault. So
Would you ever think of walking away from football? Is there anything else that Gary Holt could do?
Aye. I think there is a time that comes, I need to work, Tam, simple as that. I've got a wife, I've got a mortgage, I've got kids. So there's only so long you can sit in the house and say, I'm really good, because CV means nothing in football. It really doesn't. No matter how well you've done and what you've achieved. If somebody's not going to give you an interview or a chance to impress them, you can sit in the house and think that you're brilliant, but you need to go out and work. So, at the end of the day, I don't mind work. So I'll go and do anything, to be honest, it doesn't bother me.
That point there, which you and I discussed that at great length last week as well, is a CV, at times can mean absolutely nothing, Ruffy. Some of the appointments that come about beggars belief, and it could be down to someone who just, it's their pal, it's their somebody from across the water that they want to bring over here. We've witnessed all sorts of people getting jobs, and it kind of at times can leave you absolutely flummoxed as to how the hell they got the job.
I agree with that part of it, but I do agree that a CV of what you've done and what Gary's done, can be very useful, but it depends on what the club is looking for. Are they looking for somebody to bring young players through? Are they looking for a bit of experience? And I think it depends on how many boxes you tick. And Gary's just ticked quite a lot of boxes, assistant manager, coaching, so when you go for jobs like that, the people who are interviewing have to take these things into consideration. And what
you say the CV, doesn't really matter as such. Is there still the old adage about it's not what you know, it's who you know? And are you already, you'd be inhuman if you hadn't, but have you already looked at maybe guys that are involved at clubs who you think might have a wee opening? Have you put texts into them, phone calls into them?
No, I don't. I like to go and watch games, and I like to, speak to people and go and visit clubs. But I hate that time. I hate when you see people sitting in the stand when somebody's in a sugly peg, and it really boils my, because we're all in the same boat trying to do as best we can. We all think we can do better than the person that's in the job,
just with me sitting there with my pals, I've been offered the middle job 4 times this season. Chairman came down, come on Tam, come on, you know what I've said, nah, it's not for me.
But it's the biggest thing is when you're out of football and people say to you, oh, you've got a great CV, someone will turn up for you. So the amount of times that somebody told me I'd want to punch them in the mouth, because you don't get an interview. You don't even get sometimes get a
Apply.
reply, and it doesn't take 2 seconds in this day and age to send an email to say thanks for your application. But
And you know what as well, Gary, you don't want to be out the loop, because a name that we mentioned in the radio last week, I thought it was a classic. Where is he now? Jim McIntyre.
Yeah.
Where's Jim McIntyre now? There's a guy that is completely...
He's set up his own coaching course near his home.
Oh, he is? Right,
Yeah.
right.
He's a personal trainer as
Yeah,
well. So
But he was one of these guys that, you know, there was always the merry-go-round for years. There were different generations of the merry-go-round. Once upon a time, it was your Alec Millers, Alex Smith and all that, and it was the same guys quoted for the same jobs, you know, and then it moves on and it moves on. But you're right, you need, I think that's how it's great that you go there, and my tiny bit of advice, and we'll happily take, you're doing this today, we'll happily take you back in the radio anytime. Keep yourself out there. It's the way to do it. Don't let folk forget about Gary Holt.
That's it, and it's doing more of it, Tom, to be honest, and it's trying to not just think it, you have got a good CV. It's actually getting out there and talking about it, and hopefully somebody will say, oh, quite like what he says, and have a chat with him. It's getting the chat, that's the thing. See, if somebody sit down with you and have an interview and then say, no, you're not for me, fair enough. No got a qualm with that. It's the fact that sometimes you don't even get a reply and you're like, really?
Yeah. But the other thing I was going to ask you then is, what do you have people out there who are pitching for you as well?
Yeah, I've got an agent, and he works really hard for me and stuff like that. But it's like you said, it's like anything. As you know, in your line of work, Peter, you phone clubs and managers and that, and they don't answer the phone to you. What can you do?
Yeah.
There's also instead you don't want to be Peter Rodden-Wingy sitting at a training ground try and get some chief exec to give you a chat. So no, you've got people out there, and obviously yourselves and help.
And you say you're not 50 yet?
No, yeah.
Right, shave the beard, hang up, put years on you. No, seriously. No, but every little helps. I think that makes him look a lot older than just coming up in 50.
Well, to be fair, I think...
Shave the beard. I bet that's half the morrow.
Yeah.
I bet he'll get him and say, you know what?
No.
Cowan was right.
No chance. No, I think the one thing I would say, and I think Tom's great because obviously he's got a platform as well with his show where, you know, people, friends and a lot, are just puts it in a chairman's mind. But I think the other thing about it that a lot of people will find out is, yes, there could be an opportunity in Scotland. I mean, there's a Wraith Rovers job there. There'll be other jobs in the summer coming up that might attract you. There's two things I want to ask you about this, and I think this is really important. Scotland's one area, but you'd move anywhere else?
Oh, definitely. I want to experience it. I want to go abroad. I've travelled a lot in my younger days, especially when I was in the army initially, and then throughout my career you do move about, so I get a wee bit itchy feet from time to time, but I want to experience it. I want to try that overseas.
Sorry, I'm just lying. One minute he's got the hangies out. Aye, because you know I need to work, because I've got family, I've got kids. That next minute, Australia will be on
me and the wife, the kids can stay.
But
no, it's not having any regrets at the end of the time when the day comes that I don't do it, and I say I wish I had been abroad. I wish I'd tried it. I wish there was something, a role that got my teeth going into.
Yeah. The other part of it is, if a chairman or an owner is looking right now and saying, okay, I've seen your CV, I've had a look at your CV, and I've seen those highs and then the lows. What do they get with a manager in Gary Holt? What's the ethos? What do you want from your teams?
Football, you want to win games of football. You want to play attractive, stylish football. I get people say, do you get tired with the brush of being at Livy when we were at Livy? But we won games of football. We played football in the way that suited the players, and we were very good at it.
Yeah.
In the opposition's half, we had some really exciting, entertaining footballers, and we scored a lot of goals. But we had good defenders who liked getting hurt. Then when I was at Falkirk, it was youths. We had a first team of average age of 18.9 years of age, and we finished third in the championship. So, and it was total football and it was played. So it's horses for courses. You adapt to what you've got, but it's the work ethic, it's the trust, the discipline, the old school values rather than the old school dinosaur.